I'm a big proponent of carrying the biggest gun that you can get away with. They're simply easier to shoot well and more enjoyable to train with. The more enjoyable something is, the more likely you are to do it. And while my ego tells me that you should be able to perform just as well with any gun that you carry, reality tells me that just isn't going to happen. And if my life is on the line, I want a tool that gives me every possible advantage, so I get to go home and my kids don't have to grow up without a dad. But there are times where it just isn't reasonable to carry a full-size gun. Maybe it's the type of clothing you have to wear for work, or your body type, or the type of activity you do. But sometimes it's just better to carry a smaller gun. So you need to find a way to split the difference and find something that is small and light enough to easily conceal, yet capable enough to whoop some ass when needed. For many people, this is a Glock 19, which is a pretty good choice. But Glocks are gross. Glocks are a fine choice for many. But for those of us with taste, there's the 2024 Staccato CS. Now, I'm not saying that Glock 19 is a bad gun. I'm just saying that it's so lame and gay that Kathleen Kennedy is going to make it the star of the next Wall-E remake. Anyways, if you're a man of style and culture, like myself, you probably want to stick with the 2011 platform. And Staccato has a few new options to consider. What we're talking about today is the 2024 Staccato CS. For those that are unaware, the CS is the teeny-weeny of the Staccato lineup, with a 3.5-inch fluted barrel, a slimmer grip, and weighing in at a svelte 1.5 pounds empty. Magazines are available in 15 and 16 round versions, unless of course you live in a state run by fucking tyrannical beta males and wine moms, then you're probably stuck with 10 rounders. The overall length with the beaver tail included is actually pretty close to a Glock 19, but if you compare by like lining up the grips and ignoring the beaver tail, it's actually a bit smaller in barrel length, but with a slightly longer grip. Some notable differences between the CS and its larger brothers are a smaller grip, both in length and girth, which is generally not as good, but in this case, it's actually pretty handy for concealment. It does take proprietary mags. It has an external extractor, a redesigned recoil spring, and a slightly different sized frame. The barrel fluting is another change. Even though the gun is smaller, the 2024 CS has a fatter and taller frame, which means that it doesn't fit in the same holsters as the 2023 CS or any other 2011s. It's actually kind of a little bit bigger. Due to the reduced length of the frame, the 1913 slot is at a different position as well, which kind of limits your light options to basically only the Streamlight TLR7 sub. Technically, the Surefire XSCB or whatever fits, but I'm not even going to acknowledge that abomination exists. The 2024 version shares many features with the new 2024C, both of which are dimensionally different from the previous year's models of the same name. I know, it's Staccato's naming schemes going back all the way to when their STI is a goddamn nightmare. The original Staccato C was a single stack version, and the 2023 CS has a different size, smaller frame. Unlike its larger brethren, it does not have a tactical magwell, but the grip itself is slightly beveled. I'm a little bit used to the larger magwells on the standard 2011 grip, and I have been a bit spoiled by that. So I had to slow my mag changes down to get consistent results. Couldn't just like whip the mags at the magwell and have them slide into place like on the big boys. All right, maybe I couldn't do that anyways, but it felt like it could in comparison. The mag release has a bit of a texture to it, which is a small but welcome change. If you order one of these from the Staccato website, you have the choice of the standard version, or you can customize it just a little bit. Different barrel finishes, trigger shape, trigger weight, as well as the X serrations, which I didn't get on these, but they're basically cutouts, kind of like you see on the XC. I kept it pretty basic on the options, but I did want the lighter 3 to 3.5 pound trigger, which I don't think is too light for carry, but it also makes the shooting experience a little bit more enjoyable. The actual trigger weight on this one is right about 3 pounds, which is about perfect, honestly. Technically, the gun does have iron sights on it, but who gives a shit? I put an optic on it. That's pretty much as far as quirks and features go, so let's kind of look at how it shoots. Well, to be honest, it actually has surpassed my expectations. Expectations isn't a word. It's probably a word if you're a moron, I guess. Which I definitely am, because I wrote this script and I still can't say it properly. To be honest, this surpassed my expectations. I installed the Trijicon SRO pretty much right away because why the hell not? I've had pretty good luck with them and I like them. Accuracy at 25 yards was better than I expected, producing fairly cute little groups, to be honest, using just a range bag as a rest. Recoil was softer than I'd expected as well. Obviously, when comparing it to larger guns, it does have a bit more of a snap to it, but it returned surprisingly well. Some pretty quick splits were relatively easy to achieve as long as I was doing my part. I let the new guy shoot it and had to almost immediately fire him as he was able to run it faster than me, getting some 13 splits pretty much first time I handed it to him. I have pretty large hands. They might not look that big because they're fairly proportional to my giant buffalo head, but extra large gloves are usually a fairly snug fit. So it took just a little bit to get used to the smaller grip, but even with my greasy meat hooks, it didn't seem like the grip was too short. It was kind of on the edge for me, but not over the edge of being too short. My hands have just a slight bit of overhang, but not really in the meaningful areas, so all my fingers still fit, and the lip on the front of the grip kind of works like a wedge, so it kind of jams all your fingers up into the trigger guard, and it felt all right. You still feel very much in control of the gun. It didn't feel awkward to draw quickly, which can be a bit of a problem with compact and subcompact guns. Reliability has always seemed to be a bit of a tricky thing for sub-commander length 1911s or 2011s, but I haven't experienced any issues with the CS. In the approximately 1,600 to 2,000 rounds of ammo I used for testing, I didn't have any malfunctions at all with the gun. However, the 16-round mags were just a real kick in the taint to try and load to capacity. The 15-rounders were fine all the way through, but 16s got snug right around the 13th round. The first time I took it out, it just sliced the living shit out of my hand trying to get it loaded up. Getting hard. 13. 14. Fucking hell. That's all I can do. I can't get fucking 16. Now they're bashing the fuck out of my fingers. The 16 rounders also don't like to seat on a closed slide when full, which is super annoying if you're trying to plus up, which is kind of the reason that Staccato came out with these 15 rounders, and they actually changed the follower dimension slightly so that you could seat the gun on a closed slide. Both of them do function fine once they're loaded up. Haven't had any issues of either one of them double feeding or not loading properly or anything like that. Speaking of ammo and reliability, I've been using 124 grain FMJ from Supervel for this testing, which is what I use in all my other guns in practice and competition. But I also went through and used up a bunch of my old carry ammo of kind of various origins. One thing that I do with carry ammo is I make a mark on it every time it's been chambered and ejected, but not shot. When the same case has been ejected over and over, it creates gouges in the rim that could potentially lead to malfunctions. Every time it's ejected, I make a line with a Sharpie. Once I get 4 lines on it, or it's like visibly fucked up, I put it into a drawer and I use it for practice later, which is what I used for the testing for the CS. Most of it was Spear Gold Dot. There's a little bit of Federal and some Hornady Critical Defense as well. They were definitely noticeably snappier than regular range ammo, but all functioned fine with no issues.
Yeah, like that feels a lot snappier. Gives a lot more noticeable the difference between one brand of carry ammo than the other. First couple shots were like, eh. Second were like, whoa. You know?
nothing was too uncomfortable, just expensive. Some guys get confused as why you'd ever unload your carry gun. Those guys probably don't maintain or practice their guns often enough. Even if I haven't shot my carry gun in a couple weeks, I still like to give it a quick wipe down and re-oil it. An ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure, as they say. And it's amazing how much lint, sweat, Cheetos dust, all sorts of growiness can get in your carry gun over the course of a week or two. Then again, maybe not everyone is quite as gross as me. This is the fucking grossest gun. You're a pig. As for carry, it's been a nice change of pace for me over the XC. It's much lighter and smaller, but it's kind of like the same shape that I'm used to. I've been using one of our Loki holsters and an accompanying Loki mag pouch, which I much prefer over having a sidecar style holster. It gives you more options of where on the body that you want to carry based on your situation, and it also gives you more adjustments for angles. Personally though, I prefer to carry it in a Staccato C holster. Even though that is a longer holster, it does help to balance out the gun better. This is known as the keel effect. Basically, the extra length below the belt line keeps the top of the gun vertical and against your body, rather than tipping forward and away from you, which makes printing a bit more of an issue, but also kind of forces the bottom of the holster right into your fupa, which begs the question, why not just go with the longer gun if you're going to run a longer holster, such as, say, the Staccato C? We will have a review and a comparison of that very soon, so if you want to see that, make sure you're subscribed. Anyways, going with the smaller CS still has the advantage of weight. And depending on your body size or shape, the CS with a CS length holster might just be perfect for you. I'm a fairly large-sized human male, so I can typically get away with carrying a larger gun. That is a weird sentence. Why did I write that? I'm not a lizard person. I'm human, for sure. Anyways, but a smaller framed male or female human with a stomach earned from years of hard work and determination rather than beer and potato chips would likely find this just right. The overall smaller size is also an advantage for off-body carry. Now, I'm usually not a fan of off-body carry, such as a bag, purse, or fanny pack. It has too many drawbacks for me to consider it to be a viable everyday carry option, but it can work for some people, and in some situations, it might be best. You just got to make sure that your gun is contained in a decent holster inside of that pack, bag, or purse. In my opinion, the CS is right on that edge of the right ratio of slide length to grip size. Any shorter in the slide or any larger in the grip, and I think it would stop making sense as a real carry gun. So, do I think the CS is worth getting? Well, let's take a look at some quick pros and cons. To be a negative Nancy, let's look at the cons first. Basically, you're looking at $2,500 to get into one. You could buy 5 Glock 19s with that. But then you would have 5 Glocks again. That's kind of gross. The proprietary mags that are different from regular 2011 mags can be a negative for some. They seem unusually hard to load. And being a really short gun means that the barrel length to grip ratio might not be ideal for some body types. But that can be fixed with a slightly longer holster. Another disadvantage is that it doesn't fit other Staccato holsters except for the new C, which is another brand new one. So you don't have that same parts compatibility. With the rest of the Staccato lineup, the XL, the XC, the P, and the C2, they technically will all fit in the same holster as long as they're, say, XL length. All the shorter ones will work. Even the 2023 CS will work in those holsters, and even the old C that was a single stack also fits in those holsters. Whereas this and the new C, because of their wider and taller frame, there's no compatibility there. So holster selection is limited. However, Hammer Armament has you covered because we do have already a wide variety of holsters for this, both inside the waistband and outside the waistband, both light bearing and non-light bearing, with the TLR7 sub. Now for the pros. It's smaller and lighter than any other 2011, while also being similar enough that it doesn't feel totally different. If you currently carry a larger 2011 or you compete with one, you feel quite at home with the CS. The grip is thinner, which does make concealment a bit easier. But again, it's not so different that it feels foreign. And it doesn't affect carry capacity significantly. It's optics ready. It has a great trigger. The grip has just right amount of texture for a carry gun. It's comfortable to carry, and it's actually really nice to shoot. If you just want a range toy, I would suggest getting a bigger gun, like the P or XC. But for concealed carry, this is a fantastic option. It's small and light and comfortable, but still very capable. Anyways, if you're looking for a 2011 as a carry gun, and you want something that's a bit more small, this is a solid option that I would recommend. Thanks for watching, folks. If you made it this far, I'd appreciate a like, subscribe, maybe share it if you got a buddy that's interested in this kind of thing. Anybody figured this stuff out yet?